How do you calculate pain and suffering in a personal injury case? Hi, I'm Chris Klotz. I'm a lawyer at Stevenson Klotz Law Firm in Pensacola, Florida, and I'd like for you to join me for a second while we talk about how do we calculate, or how is pain and suffering calculated as you go through a personal injury case. Of all the questions that we've answered in this series of blog questions, that's one of the hardest questions there is to answer, because every single person's pain and suffering is different. Sometimes you may be in a very minor car accident and have a very significant soft tissue back injury that causes a great deal of pain. Or there's sometimes where you're involved in a very shockingly violent accident, but because cars are designed so well these days, the cars may be tremendously beat up or totaled, but you don't have that much injury. And so you can't really judge the pain and suffering in a case by the severity of the vehicle damage or the severity of the vehicle injury. In these cases, you really have to look at every single case as an individual. And sometimes some people have a higher tolerance for pain than others. And so it's a really hard question to ask, or to answer. It's easy to ask, isn't it? But it's hard to answer because what might be super painful to me may not be super painful to my friend. And when we get in these cases, the best way I found to determine that is to sit down and have a lengthy conversation with the client, and my paralegal may be involved in these conversations too, where you talk about what are the things that you used to be able to do but you can't do now. What are some of the physical activities that you used to be able to do but you can't do now because you're hurting? Or what are some of the things that you were able to do with your children or with your husband that you have been able to do in the past, but because of the pain that you have now, you're not able to do those. Those are all things that can go into your pain and suffering consideration, and it's different in every single case. The best way to calculate that is to sit down and have a detailed conversation about your lifestyle before the accident and your lifestyle after the accident with your attorney, who can get that information and then put it together in a narrative form for whoever's working on the other side of the case to explain how severely you've been injured in this case. Because the more severe and the more you're able to articulate the details of what's happened to you, the better your outcome is going to be. So it's important, we tell clients to keep a journal if you're injured, to write down those things that you might forget in a year or 9 months when your case is getting a little bit older. Write down, had a really hard time picking up my son today, or write down, I just couldn't go outside and mow the yard today, or write down, I couldn't get in the pool with my niece or nephew today. Write down those kind of things and keep track of them, because you'll start to forget about them over time. So I would love to answer any other questions we have, but we're getting low on time. If your loved one or you or a friend have any questions about this topic today, I'd love to talk to you. My name's Chris Klotz. I'm an attorney in Pensacola, Florida. My number is 850-444-0000, and thank you for taking the time to listen.